The 2019-2020 Judicial Hellholes report shines a light on the year's abuses in the civil justice system and the state legislative bodies. Joining me to discuss which states need the most judicial reform and what can be done to ratify change in the court system, Tiger Joyce, the president of the American Tort Reform Association. Hi, Tiger.
Hi, Audrey. Thanks for having me on.
Really appreciate you joining me. So let's talk first about the American Tort Reform Association and what you do.
Well, we're in the business of reforming the civil justice system. Our goal is to make the system work in a balanced way for everybody, plaintiffs and defendants, and it's to bring about change through legislative reform and to highlighting for the public the importance of the civil justice system to people's everyday lives.
What is a judicial hellhole, and how do states end up on the list?
Well, thanks. It's a good question. First off, it's a list you don't want to be on. These are the jurisdictions where we believe, after looking extensively at lawsuits, at analysis, and consultation with contacts and colleagues around the country, where we believe simply that equal justice under law is not available to defendants in civil litigation. These are the places where the personal injury lawyers want to bring lawsuits. This is where they go. This is where they think they can achieve their best outcome, which is not necessarily in the best interest of the broader public.
So what are some of the states that made the list?
Well, we start out with the Court of Common Pleas in Philadelphia. So we do have some states on the list. California was number one last year. It's number two this year. But for example, in Philadelphia, we had, to give you an example of the kinds of things that we highlight with respect to litigation, there was a pharmaceutical case involving an individual from Maryland. And the pharmaceutical product was one that's been well known. It's been on the market for many, many years with a well-known side effect. And yet the verdict came back in the amount of $8 billion. You're actually hearing that correctly for an individual in this case. And in addition to just the outlandish size of that award, we had reports, at least we've been told, it's been reported, that the judge afterwards was high-fiving with the members of the jury and having his picture taken by the personal injury lawyer who brought the case. Now, ask yourself this question. If you're the next up in that courtroom as a defendant, how confident are you going to be that you're going to get a fair shake?
Interesting. Well, you hear a lot about huge awards and sort of wonder about the process behind it. Is there a cost to the greater public?
Well, there is. And let me give you another example of a pharmaceutical case. There's a well-known medication called Xarelto, and there's been a lot of litigation. Over 25,000 people sued the manufacturers of that particular product. What's really remarkable is that the defendants were winning the lawsuits. The cases, and these were considered sort of the best case scenario cases from a plaintiff standpoint. The defendants are winning. So what do the defendants end up doing? They're forced, basically, because of the volume of the litigation and the cost and the burden of litigation, to settle for nearly $800 million. Just imagine you're winning your cases, and yet you find out that you really have to make a decision based on just the volume of cases and the cost of just handling these matters, even if you're winning, and it costs nearly $800 million.
Wow. So what can be done?
Well, I think first off, it's important to recognize that this isn't, I happen to be a lawyer, but this is not just a matter for lawyers and judges and people who bring lawsuits to deal with. This affects everybody. The economic burden that we see runs in the hundreds of billions of dollars each year, according to a study by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. It impacts everybody. It impacts employers and their decisions to create jobs and opportunities. It impacts how much individuals can actually earn. So recognize, number one, it's important. It's something that affects everybody. So that's the first thing. And then it's simply to demand accountability of the system. Go to your elected officials, your mayor, your governor. If your mayor is bringing, if a town is bringing a lawsuit over climate change, ask yourself this question: why are we spending our money on a local jurisdiction bringing a lawsuit on an international health and environmental problem. The litigation system exists to resolve disputes, and it should be used for that purpose. Demand reform and hold those who don't demand that accountable for that.
Where can we go for some more information and to take a look at that report?
Well, look at the report on our website at judicialhellholes.org. You can see if your jurisdiction or where you live might be on our report and learn more about it, and learn more about civil justice reform at our website, American Tort Reform Association, www.atra.org.
Tiger Joyce, president of the American Tort Reform Association, has been my guest. We've been talking about the Judicial Hellholes report. Check out that website and see if your state, your county is on that list. It's pretty amazing information. Thanks so much for joining me, Tiger.
Thanks so much, Audrey.